Imagine for a moment being one of the most recognized figures on the planet. You have traveled the globe spreading a message of peace and unity. You have commanded crowds of thousands with a single melody. But in one instant, in the sterile hallway of an airport, all of that fame and respect is stripped away. You are no longer a legend. You are simply a suspect. You are judged not by the content of your character, but by the texture of your hair and the stamp on your passport. Imagine being locked in a cold, windowless room for 6 agonizing hours. Your freedom controlled by men who see you as a threat simply because you are different. Most people would react with rage. Most would scream or threaten lawsuits. But Bob Marley was not most people. On a humid afternoon in 1979, he took a moment of supreme humiliation and transformed it into a masterclass on dignity. He didn't fight back with his fists. He fought back with a melody. This is the incredible, untold story of how the king of reggae turned a security checkpoint into a sanctuary. If you think you know Bob Marley, you need to hear this story. Welcome to Marley Files, the Untold Stories. The date is July 23, 1979. It is 3:15 in the afternoon. Miami International Airport is a sprawling beast of concrete and glass, vibrating with the frantic energy of summer travel. The air conditioning battles the oppressive Florida humidity, creating an artificial chill inside the terminal. Thousands of people are moving in every direction. Businessmen checking watches, families dragging suitcases, tourists sunburned and exhausted, all united by the singular stress of modern travel. Amidst this chaotic river of humanity stands a man moving at a different rhythm. He stands in the security line, his posture slumped with bone-deep weariness. This is Bob Marley. He has just concluded a grueling tour across the United States. For weeks he has given every ounce of his spirit to audiences in Boston, New York, and Chicago. Now his body aches. His spirit is tired. He has only one goal: to board his flight to London, close his eyes, and wake up across the ocean in the quiet sanctuary of his home. Bob is dressed for comfort, wearing well-worn jeans, a simple denim jacket, and his dreadlocks, the symbol of his covenant with Yah, hang heavily past his shoulders. In his hand, he grips the handle of a battered guitar case. To the casual observer, he doesn't look like a wealthy superstar. He looks like a working musician ready for rest. But as he shuffles forward to the security checkpoint, the atmosphere changes abruptly. Standing behind the podium is Officer Dale Patterson, a man in his 40s with a severe crew cut and eyes devoid of empathy. Patterson takes his authority very seriously. He looks up as Bob approaches, his eyes lingering on the dreadlocks with distinct distaste. In 1979, in the eyes of the establishment, Rastafarian culture was often synonymous with criminality. Then Patterson looks down at the Jamaican passport. The combination triggers a bias in the officer's mind. He doesn't see an artist.
He sees a problem.
"Step aside, sir," Patterson says. His voice is flat, carrying an edge of steel. It isn't a request. It is a command. Bob pauses, looking at the officer calmly. "Is there a problem?" he asks, his voice raspy and low. Patterson doesn't make eye contact. "Random security check." "Step aside." Bob sighs internally. He knows the rules of Babylon. He steps out of line to the secondary screening area. He has been through this before. Being a black man with dreadlocks, traveling internationally meant random. Checks were a constant in his life. Usually it was a 10-minute nuisance. But as he stands in the metal pen, Patterson calls for backup. 2 more officers arrive, positioning themselves around Bob, blocking his path. The message is clear: you are dangerous. Empty your pockets. "Everything on the tray," Patterson barks. Traffic slows as other passengers rubberneck to see who is being detained. Bob moves deliberately, placing his keys, wallet, and a handful of Jamaican coins into the plastic bin. Finally, a single guitar pick. "Open the guitar case," Patterson orders. Bob stiffens slightly. His guitar is an extension of his soul. He unlocks the latches with care. Inside, the acoustic guitar rests on the plush lining. There is nothing else there. No hidden compartments, no contraband. "Take it out," the officer commands. Bob lifts the guitar gently. Patterson snatches the empty case, running his hands aggressively along the lining, shaking it upside down. He is desperate to find something to validate his prejudice. But the case is empty. Frustrated, he turns to Bob's carry-on bag. "Open this." Bob unzips his bag. It contains the humble inventory of a traveler: clothes, a book, a toothbrush, and several cassette tapes containing rough mixes of new songs. Patterson pulls them out, holding them up like evidence. "What's on these?" he demands. Bob stands tall. "My music. I am a musician," Patterson sneers. "What kind of music?" "Reggae," Bob answers. The officer lets out a derisive laugh. "Reggae, right?" He says the word like a curse, a code word for an illegal lifestyle. He tosses the tapes carelessly onto the table. Bob glances at the clock. His flight is boarding. "Sir," Bob says, trying to reason with him, "my flight leaves in 30 minutes. You have searched everything. If there is a problem, tell me." Patterson steps into Bob's personal space. "There is no problem as long as you cooperate. But we are not done. You need to come with us for additional screening." "Additional screening? I have already—" Patterson cuts him off. "Sir, you can cooperate or we can place you under arrest. It is your choice." Bob looks at the officers surrounding him. He realizes this is a trap. They want the angry black man. They want him to shout so they can use force. Bob takes a deep breath, exhaling the tension. He will not play their game. "I will come," he says quietly. They lead him down a sterile corridor to a heavy metal door. Inside, there is a small interrogation room, a box of white concrete with no windows. Just a metal table and 2 hard chairs. It is a room designed to make a human being feel small. Patterson orders Bob to strip. Jacket, shoes, belt, they search his person with invasive thoroughness. It is humiliating. It is a violation. And again they find absolutely nothing, because Bob Marley is not a criminal. "Sit down," Patterson says. The interrogation begins. It is circular, nonsensical, designed to exhaust. "Where are you coming from?" "Los Angeles." "Why?" "Concerts." "And before that?" "New York." "Watch your tone." The questions repeat. "Where do you live?" "London. But you are Jamaican." "Yes." "Have you ever been arrested?" "No." "Have you ever used illegal drugs?" Bob looks Patterson in the eye. He knows this is the pivot point. "I am Rastafari," Bob says, his voice echoing in the small room. "My faith involves the spiritual use of herbs. It is my religion. But I am carrying nothing. I have brought nothing into this country. You have searched me. You have searched my bags. You found nothing." Patterson leans back with a smug smile. "We will decide when you can leave." And so the waiting begins. This is the hardest part. The silence. Bob sits in the hard chair. In his mind, he sees the plane. He knows the doors are closing. He imagines the aircraft lifting off, turning east over the Atlantic. He should be on that plane going home. Instead, he is trapped in Miami. 30 minutes pass, 1 hour. Patterson leaves, replaced by another officer who asks the exact same questions, trying to catch Bob in a lie. 2 hours pass. Bob asks for water. They bring a tiny cup. He asks for a phone call. Not yet. 3 hours. 4 hours. Bob retreats into himself. He meditates. He hums melodies. He refuses to let the walls close in. He remembers the teachings of Marcus Garvey. He remembers Trenchtown. He stays calm. Finally, after 6 excruciating hours, the door opens. Martin Hughes, a supervisor, walks in. He is an older black man, his face carrying a look of embarrassment. He looks at Bob, then at the paperwork. He sighs, realizing this wasn't security protocol. This was harassment. "Mr. Marley," Hughes says softly, "I apologize. You are free to go." Bob stands up slowly, his body stiff. 6 hours? Bob asks, his voice weary. "You held me for 6 hours? Did you find anything?" "No, sir." "Then why?" Hughes looks at the floor. "Officer Patterson flagged you as a potential security risk." "It was a judgment call." "Based on what?" Bob asks. "My hair? My skin?" Hughes says nothing. The silence speaks volumes. "Where is my guitar?" Bob asks. "At the checkpoint." "I will walk you there." It is past 9 p.m. The sun has set. Bob has missed his flight. There are no more until morning. They reach the checkpoint where his belongings are still scattered. Patterson is there looking smug, satisfied he ruined the day of a famous man. "Have a nice flight, Mr. Marley," Patterson says sarcastically. Bob pauses. He could shout. He could demand a badge number. Instead, Bob simply packs his bag. He places his guitar gently back into its case. He turns his back on Patterson and walks into the main terminal. The terminal is crowded. Hundreds of passengers are stranded due to delays. The mood is toxic. People are angry. Children are crying. Arguments break out at ticket counters. The air is thick with frustration. Everyone just wants to go home. Bob looks around. He feels the negative energy. He could go to a hotel or a VIP lounge, but he doesn't. He walks to a quiet corner near the windows, puts his bag down and sits on the cold floor. He opens his guitar case. A security guard walks over immediately. "Sir, you can't sit there." Bob looks up. "Why not?" "I am not blocking the path. I am just sitting. This isn't a waiting area. Please move." "I am a passenger," Bob says firmly. "I have a ticket. I am waiting for my flight right here." The guard hesitates. Technically, Bob is right. "What are you doing with the guitar?" "I am going to play music while I wait." "Is that illegal?" "Well, no," the guard stammers. Bob begins to tune the strings. The sound cuts through the low hum of the terminal. The guard steps back, radioing for a supervisor. Bob closes his eyes, letting go of the 6 hours in the white room, letting go of Patterson. He channels everything into his fingers. He strikes the first chord, a G major, then he begins to sing. Old pirates? Yes, they rob the opening lines of Redemption Song. His voice is not a whisper. It is a force of nature. It carries through the terminal, raw and acoustic. People stop. 20 feet away, a woman lowers her magazine. A businessman stops pacing. Heads turn. The sound is magnetic. Sold out of the merchant ships, more people gather. 10, 20, 50. They form a semicircle around the man on the floor. At first, confusion. Then recognition. Whispers ripple through the crowd. "Is that?" "No, it can't be. That's Bob Marley." The crowd swells. 100. 200. People abandon their gates. Ticket agents stop working to listen. This is 1979. No cell phones, no cameras. Just a pure, uncaptured moment. Bob is singing with his eyes closed, pouring his soul out as if headlining a festival. But there are no speakers, no stage. Just a man and his truth. Security guards watch, paralyzed. They cannot throw him out now. It would cause a riot. Officer Patterson pushes through the crowd, expecting trouble. Instead, he sees Bob healing the room. Patterson's face turns red. He wanted to humiliate this man, to make him small. Instead, Bob has become a giant. And then, the magic happens. The crowd begins to sing. "Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom?" Hundreds of voices join in. It is a choir of strangers. White, black, Latino, rich, poor. People who were ignoring each other minutes ago are now singing in unison. The stress of the airport melts away. Bob finishes Redemption Song and flows into No Woman. No cry. The terminal erupts with emotion. People are swaying, some weeping openly. The cold airport has been transformed into a sanctuary. Barbara Sullivan, the terminal manager, hurries down. She expects chaos but finds unity. She sees Patterson standing angrily at the back and realizes a mistake was made. She pushes through the crowd and kneels beside Bob. "Mr. Marley," she says softly. Bob looks at her, expecting eviction. "I am the terminal manager. I want to apologize. What happened today was unjust." "I am so sorry." Bob nods. "Thank you." Sullivan continues. "Please let us move you to a VIP lounge. We have private rooms, food, drinks. We will make you comfortable." Bob looks at the luxury offer. Then he looks at the crowd, the tired mother smiling, the businessman tapping his foot. He sees the connection. "And if I don't want to go?" Bob asks. Sullivan smiles. "Then you can play. This is your terminal." Bob grins. "I will play," he says. "These people need this more than I need a VIP lounge." And so, the concert continues. For 2 hours, Bob Marley plays for the stranded travelers. He plays Three Little Birds, One Love, 15 songs. The crowd grows to over 1,000. Some flights take off with empty seats because passengers refuse to board. They would rather miss their plane than walk away from Bob Marley. The airport effectively shuts down. News crews arrive, capturing the end. By the late news, the story is everywhere. Bob Marley detained. Responds with free concert. The aftermath was swift. The next morning, a formal apology was issued. Officer Dale Patterson was suspended and later transferred to a cargo department, far away from the public. The airport instituted new training regarding racial profiling, changing policies forever, but the real legacy was the memory. Years later, Barbara Sullivan said, "I have seen thousands of angry passengers scream and threaten, but Bob Marley did none of that. He sat on the dirty floor and played his guitar. He turned his humiliation into art. He showed us what true dignity looks like." In 1985, 4 years after Bob's death, a small plaque was placed in Miami International Airport. It read, "Here, music transcended borders." Bob Marley taught us a lesson that day more powerful than any lyric. He taught us that you cannot drive out darkness with darkness. Only light can do that. You cannot destroy hate with hate. Only love and music can do that. On that hot July day, he wasn't just a musician. He was a teacher. If this story touched your soul, if it reminded you of the power of staying calm in the face of injustice, please like this video and share it. Help us keep these untold stories alive. What would you have done in Bob's shoes? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, remember, keep your head high and one love.